Happy Tuesday, April 20th, everyone. No, this is not wine. This is cranberry juice. I kind of wish it was wine. I don't have any in the house right now. I have to talk to my bestie, Margaret Coleman. She finds the best wine. I'm a very light drinker, but I do love my sweet reds now and then. The only problem is, hubby's, he's a very moderate just drinker. No problem with alcohol. But what happens is, he says, man, she's been sitting on that wine forever. I might as well drink it up. When I finally go get around to having maybe a half a glass of it, soak in the tub, read a good book, listen to some reggae. It's gone. Never fails. Well, we all can relate, especially wives. Anyways, I wanted to check in and tell you we have been to our sweet spot twice this week. It's called City Lake, but we call it our backyard falls. The first time we went, we didn't take the dogs. Had to see how hubby did because of his broken hip surgery, and it was amazing how quick we got to the falls without the dogs. I'm like, God, this is like nothing. What's going on? And then we realized we're not walking the dogs. They're peeing and sniffing every second. Anyways, we took them today, and they were in hog heaven, dog heaven. Wasn't there a movie called All Dogs Go to Heaven? Oh my God, that's such a sweet memory. Used to watch that with my eldest, Miranda. Which brings me to my other topic. My last video I touched on, and that was to my son. Uh, you know, that was about my son and my relationship. A lot of what I say, even though it seems, ooh, that's kind of personal, airing your dirty laundry. You know, I weigh things very heavily before I go there because I don't want to fracture a relationship that looks redeemable. Okay. I definitely don't want to be an obstacle. I've always said that about my kids. I don't want to be an obstacle of their healing ever, ever, ever. There comes a time, though, when you got to call something out. It takes moral courage. You can disagree with that. That's fine. Okay. But it really does to say, okay, enough is enough. You just suddenly go, woo. Just like in a bad marriage, if any of you have been in a bad marriage or you just like years, all of a sudden you're like treading water, and you're like, F this, I can't do this anymore. And then all of a sudden the light bulbs all go off and you start connecting the dots. I think I told you once my sister Kathy used to say, Mary, but it's like when you're mired in a situation, you don't have the objectivity. And of course you've got that love, you know. You know, the only person in my life that I completely had stopped loving that I loved once is James Kavanaugh because he violated our trust completely. So he's dead to me. But getting back to the topic, which is kind of relevant to him too as well. James Kavanaugh was my second husband. For those of you who the heck is James Kavanaugh. All right. Um, Getting to what I was saying about the video that I shared. Choking on my own words. Let me get a sip. Cranberry juice. Anyways, there comes a point that if you don't tell people you've had enough, they figure you haven't. I don't really anticipate behavioral change, but I do it for me. But not only that, let me tell you something. And I've said this before, everything that I do is to ease suffering. Okay, what good are my experiences, my education, the skills that I've acquired if they don't benefit anybody? Too late maybe for me with two of my children, or even maybe a third his, but not for lack of trying. Okay, at some point you're like, okay, I can't keep making up for my mistakes. Time to move on. And that's where I'm at, and I know that's where he's at. So having said that, I still want to send out a warning bell. Okay. And this whole thing about narcissistic abuse is from a narcissist is operating from unhealed trauma. We can have great empathy and compassion for the realities that brought that individual to that situation, that set of circumstances that brought them to that disorder. But you cannot sacrifice yourself. Because honestly, you cannot love a narcissist into healing. Doesn't mean you stop loving. It doesn't mean, you stop being an enabler or even setting up, destructive circumstances yourself in retaliation, or, you don't want to go there at all. And believe me, I have no desire to retaliate. The only person I have a desire to retaliate against are those that have, perpetuated crimes against me, criminal activity, or criminal activity against my children. When I say retaliate, God has a scale, justice and mercy. I'm all about justice, y'all. I'm all about justice. Do not keep those secrets. They're destructive for families. They're destructive for society. People have to be accountable. If it makes people uncomfortable, so be it. Okay? So be it. If it makes me uncomfortable that a child comes to me and say, why didn't you see this? Why didn't you do this? Too bad on me. Okay? Too bad on me. And I have been there. Believe me, I've been there. And that's hard. Very hard. Okay? But you got to do it. Then I took every step I could think of from that point on. Once I understood a scenario or a situation or relationship, move forward. What can I do you see, because when you really move forward and you really are sincere, you take those steps to make amends. Okay. That's how you know someone in addiction. If they do not even begin to start making amends with you, they're not in recovery. Okay. There's not in recovery. So getting back to, I don't regret my last video in the least. I thought about it. Roy goes, "Ooh," my hubby, Roy, he goes, "Wow, I love what you said about, why don't you get in the car, come up here? Wouldn't that be something? Wouldn't that be something?" Okay. That was a hard pill. That's a hard pill to swallow, you know. So now that's my warning bell, like as far as like narcissists, how to deal with narcissists, setting your boundaries. The other warning bell, because I've worked with a lot of teens and young parents in my life. Yes, I have, even though I've made mistakes myself as a parent. Most people come into this profession that are true empaths because they have suffered, okay? All right? And people that love have suffered, maybe because of their actions, whatever. Then if they use that for the benefit of others, woot, woot. My dog's barking. One second. Do you want to come in? Do you want to come in? Come on, Ringo. Your sister's in that one. You're not going to want to. Okay. Come here, Ringo, Ringo. Lay down. Ringo, Ringo. You want it? I am sorry. I apologize. They're my babies now. I take good care of them. You can understand that. Those of us that love our babies. Yeah, you're okay. What's going on? And well, I guess this is going to be a total hodgepodge. What's going on is this. Okay, Ringo, the dog that we've had, I don't know, y'all, years and years. I don't know, 6 years. I honestly don't know. 3 years, maybe in Florida, 3 years here. He's he has the bigger bed, the dog bed. Beanie, our other dog, we've only had like 8 months maybe, has taken over his bed. He always tries to go in his bed, and then he smells her, and he's like, looks at me like, oh, okay? And then he crawls in her little bed. So, because now you know what we got to do. We got to get another big bed. Oh, they're exasperating, aren't they? Okay. Ooh, reel it back in, Mary. Okay, so what was Mary talking about? Mary was talking about, setting boundaries with narcissists, having compassion for them. And I also was talking about how I have mentored young parents because you do not want to set up the circumstances, believe me, to have a child develop this type of disorder. You don't. And you definitely don't want to set up the circumstances, you know, to have a dual disorder of addiction. Not that I'm blaming parents, I mean, I blame myself and my ex-husband, their dad, because we were their parents. Children are not born narcissists, just so you know, they're not born that way. So it's this huge conglomerate of stuff. So yes, I do. I do all I can to set up that warning bell. Okay. And what are some of the things that create a narcissist? Okay. You have a divided parenting style. Okay. Maybe even you have alienated the other parents, called parental alienation, so that that child is very enmeshed with one parent. And that definitely went on in our situation. The normal range parent. When I say normal range, not that I was perfect. I didn't have any addictions. I did not have any mental health disorders. I had PTSD, but I had not been diagnosed, you know. So, what happens, a normal range parent, if they're not educated or aware, will react to the other parent's behavior, whether that, in their case, it was an alcoholic parent, the father of my children, and his behaviors. I was completely reactive. What happens then, a child is caught in this utter chaos, as you can imagine. And of course, children internalize, blame everything on themselves. Okay. And they learn that they can't trust their parents because of this chaos. And quickly they learn to just look out for themselves and develop these manipulative behaviors. And what really pushes a child that could have conduct disorder into narcissistic disorder or borderline personality disorder is sexual, physical, and emotional abuse. Okay. Um, you know, so you're really asking for like a 1, 2, 3 punch. Okay. And both of my oldest children have been through all three. Okay. No sexual abuse within our family. No sexual abuse in my family of origin. But nonetheless. So when you have all of that trauma going on, and then you got the parents, they're so caught up in their chaos, reactive behavior. They're so unaware of it. They don't know how to facilitate healing and, how to make it, cross you know, the roads to get an amicable divorce so they can work in the best for the children. And then you throw in step parents that are destructive. You are just asking for, unfortunately, a disaster. So what I do, I say, please, please do everything to save your family, everything imaginable, barring if there is these types of abuse that I mentioned that are, these are serious situations. And of course, then you just protect the child, whatever you got to do to get that child out of this scenario and, hold that other parent accountable. But barring that, and my hubby Roy and I have talked about my kid's dad is hubby Roy. I said, if I could have done anything to save our marriage, to save our children, I would have done it. And I've said before in a video, I was packing up, when 18 years of marriage, I was packing up and I was bawling, just bawling, because I knew this was my last. We had so many honeymoons. I said, this was really it. And I knew it. And, and of course, I could not foresee all the ramifications, that occurred. So I teach parents that I've worked with, like when I say worked with, mentored, okay, because again, the waiver. I do not have my MS, master's licensure. I'm talking about mentorship. So, I got all my coursework, and anybody that's just checking in now, I don't have my licensure, so I cannot professionally counsel. You know, so when I say mentorship, I've had lots of people call me. I mean, seriously, again, it's not family members, and we've discussed this in other videos. I'm talking like this is how my time gets like woo, but like so rewarding, and then I practice skills with them, how to reflect, respond, validate, not to react, and as with their partner as well as with their children. Okay. What warning signs to look out for, questions to ask, open-ended questions, you know, how to balance their self-care so their parenting is more effective. You name it, on and on. Responding to them with their trauma, whatever the case might be. I never had that. I had people that loved me and like, get out of the marriage, da da da, stuff like that. And they really loved and they cared, but they didn't know what all this was going on either. First of all, they didn't live near me. Okay. I did not have anybody to say, hey, you know, can you come over and help out with the kids? I just need to get out. Or something like I never had any of that, you know. So, made unhealthy choices and healthy decisions. And, you know, but now, listen, my children are adults. It's their journey, their healing. That's not my responsibility anymore. Okay. Do not take on something that isn't yours. That's a burden you should not be carrying. I try to model, you know, healthy behavior, um, just anything that's healthy, with their children, whatever I can do. That's not my job to heal. It never will be. you know. And as long as I am made to feel guilty and I allow myself to feel guilty, they're not focusing on their healing. You see what I'm saying? You got children in 30s and 40s. It's not like, come on, it's their journey. You're always going to love me like, oh, call me up. You can cry to like 3 a.m. in the morning. Whatever we got to, as long as you're not under the influence, of course, because then we're not going to make any progress. So anyways, that's kind of my hodgepodge. I just, here I go with, please forgive me for that. I probably will never stop doing that. Everybody has bad habits. What's funny is when I was doing all my classwork, and I had to do, when I did all my counseling sessions, see, now I'm trying to pay attention. Counseling sessions, I wasn't saying, I had to hear them and like, critique my own. I wasn't going, But you know what it is? I feel more familiar with you all. You're all my buds. You're my peeps. Let me tell you before I close. Oh my Lord God. Oh my Lord God. Here in Tennessee, we are having such a resurgence of white supremacy. I mean, because it's out in the open now, whether you agree or not. President Trump opened the floodgate and they're just like crawling out. They feel so emboldened. Anyways, I love this guy. He and a fellow professor at TTU, Tennessee Tech University here in Cookeville, Tennessee, are going through some serious repercussions for standing up against racism. Just unbelievably talented, gifted, warm, good people. So I'm starting to try to see how I can be involved in this, be helpful in this. I've got to get back into my. I stepped away because I'm talking about now my helping the immigrants, getting out of cages and stuff, which I brought up in several of mine. I stepped away a little bit when Biden took over because I wanted to see what would happen, and just for my own self, I'm finding that if I don't listen to politics very much, I felt like I had to before because I didn't know what was like. Oh, there's the Chicken Little. The sky is falling. Oh God, I would love to hear somebody say, "Tell me how you're doing with people that supported Trump and you know and his racist behavior and pronouncements and policies and just things like I would love to know, where you stand now. Do you have any like reflection or are you like just keeping mum quiet? I would love to see if anybody's had any like radical change of heart. I would love to see that. Roy teases me, my hubby, because he'll be like, Mary, I was Republican my whole life. What have you done to me? But no, I mean, he sincerely is an independent. He's a critical thinker. He's not as smart. No, he's smarter than he looks. Anyways, on that note, I love y'all. Namaste. Be good to yourselves. Be good to each other. Go where the love is.